Hello,
Make it
everyone.
125%.
Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome to Spring 42 review for YakShaver. So we had a fantastic spring and we have a good progress. Let's dive into what we've done this sprint. Okay, so our goal was to set up a client portal on the production environment. So now this is done, and we have a live portal with brand new domain, portal.yakshaver.ai. And we also have a separate portal on the staging environment, which has the portal-staging.yakshaver.ai. So now we are able to do separate testing on our staging environment. And so that wouldn't impact the production environment. And
my great goal was done. Does every client now get its own URL? Is that how it works?
no, this is a share portal, so that the client will use the same portal, but the portal is smart enough to figure out which tenant you are.
Right. Okay. All right. Got it. Thanks.
Yep. And this is the timesheet. Everyone's full-time, 40 hours for each of us. And let's dive into the done PBIs. Okay, so first one is we have a Azure DevOps service integration page done. This was done by Tom. Tom, can you give us some updates on what you have done?
Yes, so now through the portal, we can connect with Azure DevOps, and this will allow the user to get, access to the different DevOps projects, so that YakShaver can basically create PBIs in there.
So can you quickly navigate to the actual portal integrations page just so you can kind of see what this is?
Yeah.
Right. So we have an integration page. Now shows you are able to connect the GitHub repository, or you could connect the DevOps repository.
So this connects YakShaver to its output medium, so where places that you can put work items. So we had GitHub already last week, and Azure DevOps has just been added this week, and we already have told him to change it to Azure DevOps instead of just DevOps.
Okay, thank you. I was about to say that. Can you just bump up the Zoom to 125%, please?
Yep.
Okay. So people will come here and they'll connect up to, whatever, GitHub, Azure DevOps, Jira, Monday.com, Zendesk, whatever. This is where they go to configure the permissions to be able to speak into those and connect to those systems.
Right. Okay. Just a small thing on the UI. I don't think you use overview on the left-hand nav, so I think that's just some unnecessary. I'd kill the word overview. It doesn't do anything. And I'd have a bit of a gap between each one, just a little bit more of a gap between dashboard and models and documentation. You've got plenty of space there. I'll go. Yep. And
yeah, I think this is going to need a proper kind of Bettyization at some point. Some designer is going to have to come in here and kind of give us the actual flow of what they actually need to do. Most importantly, what needs to be most visible. So this is functional at the moment, but soon it'll be prettier and more user experience friendly.
Right. Just small things. Support and feedback on the bottom left-hand corner is a different size font than what's above, so that should never be the case. And usually the person you're signed in as, see Rick, is in the top right-hand corner. That's an unusual place to put that.
Okay. Yep. Tom, can you make notes of that?
Yeah, we need, like Yuli said, a designer to get everything done.
Well, actually, you know what? Let me do that right now. Give me a sec. I think the easiest thing is just to literally tell a few tips, but YakShaver, give me a sec. I'm going to record. 3, 2, 1. All right, we've got a new feature request for YakShaver. You can see on the screen here, this is the client portal. This is pretty functional at the moment, but it's a bit ugly. We've got multiple font sizes for that section up the top left and the section down the bottom left. Rick Sue's login details are down the bottom left when that should usually be up the top right. The word overview is probably not needed. And this is just stuff we can notice. But what we really want is a designer to look at this and make sure that the user experience flow is really good and makes sense to a new user. So it doesn't need to be explained to them. Adam, some more things?
Yeah, just the gaps on the left-hand side, dashboard, models, documentation, a little bit more gap because you have more space. And usually there is an about or account or something so you can see what version number. I wouldn't know which one I'd go to, but I'd put a last one down the bottom. This is about.
So whichever designer ends up looking at this, take all this into account, please, and give us your professional opinion on what else we can do as well. Okay, done.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, I think that stuff should be done before a designer gets to it. You do your best efforts first.
Yeah, maybe. It feels like a lot of wasted work if they end up telling you to do it a different way.
Well, I don't think a designer will tell you to add an about. I don't think a designer will need to be involved to get a font size consistent.
By the way, this is one of the defaults from Shed CN.
Oh, really?
That's interesting.
Yes.
That's a gold comment, Tom. What is default that I just complained about?
Basically, the whole thing is default Shed CN. The only thing that we added were some of the menu items on the left-hand side, different wording and some extra ones.
Wow.
And a few have been removed.
Okay.
But the whole layout and design is pretty much whatever Shed CN gave. They have like building blocks, which are like admin portals, pretty much.
Right. Okay.
So
right,
yeah, that's why But this is good feedback because we quickly implemented the dashboard with Shed CN, and we never talked with anybody except Yuli about this.
Okay. What's the tech of this dashboard? Is it Blazor or Next.js?
Next.js.
Okay. All right.
So by the way, just so you know, Adam, for the CTF this Thursday night, this Friday morning, they won't see this because this is for clients to set up their tenants.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Okay, so next PBI, as we have shown before, the client portal is now live on production. So so I'll skip this one. Next, we have a bug on the staging, which the process button did not work. This happens when YakShaver wasn't sure which when you turn off YakShaver, it will ask you, do you want to proceed the video? So that process button didn't work, but now it's fixed on staging. However, this bug wasn't on production. Luckily, this only happens on staging. So yeah. And next one is the OpenTelemetry. So now our logs are sent in an OpenTelemetry format. So by using OpenTelemetry, it gives us easier navigation, and it also groups all relevant logs together. So now when user reports, oh, I've encountered a bug, devs are now easier to dig into the logs and pinpoint the where the problem is. So now debugging got easier. Next one is we have.
Sorry, when you chose OpenTelemetry, did you compare it against anything else or just chose it?
Yeah, I just chose it. So because this is this has been default for .NET Aspire, and so that we just chose it to log it this way.
Right. And when was that first released? Was that .NET 4 or .NET 8?
OpenTelemetry?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but I think OpenTelemetry has been on release for a long time now.
Okay. All right. Is there any other SSW products using it?
I think Time Pro is.
Okay.
But Time Pro is logging to the sec location. Yeah. but we log into App Insight.
So I thought SEQ was a competitor. I didn't know that they work together.
Oh, OpenTelemetry is just the format of the logs, and SEC is the log storage location, like storage provider. Same as App Insight. So they both store the logs, but how the logs are defined is defined by OpenTelemetry protocol.
Yeah. All right. Good.
All right. Next one is the big one. So now we have switched our user source to Microsoft Graph.
So
Lewis,
Adam, let me just jump in quickly here for this one, because this is a big deal. It took quite a while, but it's done. When we first did our proof of concept for YakShaver, we used Dynamics as our source of user data. That was a bit of a strong dependency, and a lot of clients might not be using Dynamics. So we've taken that away, and we're now using just Microsoft Graph, because we figured anyone using this is likely using Microsoft Teams, because it's pretty heavily in with Microsoft Teams, so therefore they'll have Microsoft Graph. So now we're using Graph as the source of users. The extra fields like GitHub user ID or nickname or whatever that we have added to our user record in Dynamics, we will have in the client portal for the people to be able to add in that extra information as well. But this means that this means it takes away a big dependency on Dynamics now.
All right. That sounds good. Who are the main drivers behind making this change?
Lewis.
Okay.
Lewis is we did most of the work on that, I think.
All right. Thanks, Lewis.
All right. So next, this is a quick one. We have registered domain and subdomain for the portal and the API. So now the domain is registered here, and this is the staging domain. And the next two PBIs are related to the switching user source, so I'll skip them. Next one, multi-tenancy. We have the GitHub clients. When we installed the GitHub app, GitHub clients couldn't figure out which installation it was. So now it has been fixed. So Stephen, can you give us some updates on this one?
This work item is related to the multi-tenancy one. Before, our YakShaver was written in the way only serves for SSW, so the tenant ID was hard-coded. And now it's able to figure out the request is from which tenant. So it can dynamically switch the context depends on the tenant.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And next one is just a small bug on the ask card that the difference between email sent and what item created. Now
Just the
both of
emoji.
them, just the emoji changed. So now they are consistent. So that's all the PBI done within this sprint. Any questions?
I might wait until I see the roadmap.
Okay. Right, let's jump back to the email. So the code coverage, we went down from 16% down to 14%. That means we need to do more unit testing.
That means a lot of features were added without any unit tests.
Actually, what happened was we have made Azure DevOps Service multi-tenanted, but however, we couldn't figure out the unit test for Azure DevOps Service. So we commented out quite a few tests there, and that's why the code coverage went down.
Rick, just to correct you, there were the integration tests, and this is due to that we need now an access token in the CI/CD pipeline, and that was a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, but we do aware of this, and we do have that in the backlog to add it back in the future.
Okay. All right.
All right, next, production release. We have 4 production release in the past week. And application health, we do have some failed requests, and we do have it in the backlog to look into those failed requests. And we have 100% uptime availability, which is good. And in terms of monthly usage, we can see Betty and Wixie are on the top, and followed by Adam and Jimmy as well. So we have overall, I think overall we have increased usage from SSW stuffs, which is good.
You're a machine. 23. That's amazing.
Yeah. All right. And here's the product roadmap. So we actually went down 1% on the client tenant setup. That's because as we go into details, we have created more issues in the client tenant setups.
Wow.
And at the same time, we do complete some PBIs, but also we created more PBIs, and that's why the percentage went down.
Okay. The second one there says you're going to replace the current workflow with more agent-like. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So change it from a kind of smart workflow with AI at each node to a full AI for the whole thing. Full agent.
Right. And when was that first thought of?
Quite a while ago, but we put it on ice because we wanted to get the get it in the hands of clients before we did that. But that will harness us to the progress in AI more than we are currently. So as models get smarter, our tool will get dramatically better instead of slightly better. At the moment, we have to have anticipated everything a client might want to do. If once we've done this, we don't need to anticipate it. They can do anything that the systems that they're talking to are capable of.
Right. And Rick, how long have you been familiar with this one?
I did a POC on this one.
Did you do a video?
When?
Did I do the video? No, I didn't record a video, but I did a live demo for you, I think, and also Callum and all the team members.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Right. Because my worry is if you do all this stuff with your multi-tenancy, you have to rework everything that you've done the workflows.
I think that's not right, no. Because the multi-tenancy stuff that we're doing is separate and will be relevant to both an agent or to our workflows. That's how it was explained to me. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So multi-tenancy has minimal impact on the agentic flow.
Right. Okay. Lewis, are you across this second one, the agent one?
Yeah. Rick has gone through the POC with the team, so.
Yep.
And by the way, the reason it might be a little bit of a surprise for you is because we didn't have an epic for it until a few weeks ago. So we had the PBIs, but we didn't have an epic. So I made an epic to sort of help organize things.
Right. Okay. Can I just check, Tom? You're familiar with it?
Yes.
And Stephen?
Yes, I'm familiar with that. And I was quite surprised when Rick did the POC.
Did anyone put the argument forward that we should do this fix before the multi-tenancy? No? Does anyone think we should have? Because I feel like there's a big risk of a lot of rework. And especially if you've got a tenant on it and then you start trying to do this, you're going to have all sorts of fragility.
Yeah, it is a big refactor, and I anticipate there will be some fragility. Yes, I agree. But we can also do this in a branch, in a feature flag. So kind of wait until it's ready before we flip people over to it.
Okay. Well, one of the important things, guys, without knowing a lot, I feel like you've made a mistake in prioritization, only because when you ship something to customers, all they really care about is how fast do their bugs get fixed. And if they start trying this and you're not fixing any of their bugs because you're heavily working on a large piece of infrastructure, so you're not going to fix their tiny little things that are are minute because it would just be waste of work because it's being done a different way. That's why, I think the multi-tenants, the order is likely the wrong way. Like you'd prefer to release a new version of, say, Time Pro with .NET 8 rather than release it fixed up in .NET 4 and then you're doing .NET 8 migration because it takes forever to give them a change.
One counterpoint, the agent will be okay now with, let's say, 01. Once we have access to 03, it will be substantially better. So the time that we go live with the agent does matter. It matters what models we have access to at that time. So when these guys first proposed this all to me, it was pre-01. So it was like 4.0 land. And
Okay.
I was nervous about it because I wasn't sure that it was smart enough to do the right kind of reasoning. And as we've gone on, I've gotten more and more confident that it's going to work. But the longer we wait, the better it's going to be.
Okay. All right. Callum, any comments on this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think 4.0 as an agent is probably good enough to do it. I mean, that's what we built our Australian Payroll Association.
We don't mention client names in these.
Oh, sorry. That's what we meant. That's what we built. Are we proud of it? It is going to turn into some public videos though. Anyway, you can redact that. That's what we built our POC for one of our clients on.
A payroll client.
A payroll client, especially French. And I mean, you don't just have one single completion in 4.0, right? You do multiple tool calls, multiple completions, multiple reflect what's already said, and potentially refining it itself with a bunch of tools. So I guess I was going right back to the original proof of concept that we did for the brainstorming. I mean, that was obviously using ChatGPT as a custom GPT with tools that could look up projects, look up people, whatever. And I felt like that was already sort of good enough to take the details and put them in the right place with recursive tool calls. So yeah, I don't know. I would have just started with tools with the agent, like from the start, rather than the pipeline we've got.
Right. Okay. All right. But Rick,
well, it's not too late. We can. I mean, this next week we're not doing any multi-tenancy stuff because we're just doing a stabilization sprint to make sure we're ready for the CTF this Friday. But after that point, we can pause and reprioritize and work on the agent if we want, and then come back to tenant setup.
Yeah, I would consider whether
it's very technically interesting.
Yeah, I consider whether you want to put one piece of it in the agent before you deploy, before you do a CTF. Because at least then you'll have the framework of how you're going to do the multiple agents.
By the way, it would also make it a lot easier for clients who have their own things that they need to connect up to, because obviously not everyone has the same sort of systems that SSW has, but you can have sort of the same core engine, and then maybe they book SSW a couple of days of consulting to create a custom set of tools to integrate with their data sets and whatever. And
So if they're not using Azure DevOps or GitHub or whatever we support, and they're using some system we haven't integrated with, that's definitely a plan, is to allow, that.
But if it was consulting work, sort of just swap out the tools for each tenant, right, rather than have to change our massive monolith pipeline to support all these different methods of access.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, the way I understand it, the work that they're doing on the API stuff is pretty agnostic to whether it's an agent or not. It's just a tool that it can call. It either calls it via the current code or it calls it via an agent call. So, like, we can do that now, and it won't really change how the tool gets called, how the API gets called. We're just creating APIs to connect these systems.
Does anyone have any new thoughts after listening to all this? In hindsight, would they prioritize the agent stuff, or you're happy with the order you chose?
I'll go last.
I'll go first. Okay. So if time goes back to where the project starts, I will choose a agent. But since we have already chosen a workflow, I'll stick with that. And then I will prioritize multi-tenancy first because that's what client can sign up and use the workflow to start with. So
Okay. All right.
I will stick to multi-tenancy.
Okay. All right. Stephen?
Yeah, I thought the same because getting clients to be able to work is like first priority, and the AI model are always like improving. If we just waited to and we waited until the agent is ready and then start to do the multi-tenancy, there might be another new concept that that's better thing than the agent concept. So there's always new thing coming up. So
Right.
I think multi-tenancy is the priority.
All right. Tom?
If we decided to go with an agent, I would have dropped the whole code base that we had now and written it from scratch, because we had a lot of interesting code that we needed to fix, especially for multi-tenancy. We needed to fix a lot of code. So
Right.
it would have made probably things easier if we were allowed to start completely from scratch and maybe take minimal original code into the agent workflow. But also similar, like the other said, multi-tenancy was a high goal. And with that, we definitely needed to get some portal going because, the user experience was quite bad for like potential customers.
Okay. Lewis?
Yeah, I agree with what Tom said. Like, if we could go back and implement the agent, knowing that we will also do multi-tenancy, because I was new to the project and I
both together. The discussion is, should it be done the agent before multi-tenancy? That's the question.
Yeah. So like because I didn't know that how like hard coded everything was to SSW's things that YakShaver was. So if like going forward, like if we did, I think I would have gone with like agent first, like going through the agent, but knowing that we need to make sure that it's set up so that multi-tenancy isn't as hard to do, like no hard coding things and making things be able to have different tenants on.
Okay. Yuli?
Yeah.
So I think what I'm hearing Tom and Lewis say is that they had to make a lot of changes to code that's going to end up being redundant in order to do multi-tenancy, which is a very fair point. My background is from reading a lot of business books and a lot of books about startups, the lean startup methodology, agile software development, all that kind of stuff. And the number one rule is that your currency is not in money, your currency is in validated learnings. Which only come once you have your product in the hands of clients. So getting it into people's hands as early as possible is very valuable. And I'll tell you why. We're talking about two very different products. YakShaver in its current form and YakShaver as a full agent are going to feel like very different products. And I will be very interested to see which one of those two products is an actual superior user experience. Because what we have at the moment with the current workflow is a very predictable outcome. If I say a thing, I know exactly what it's going to do because it can only do 5 things. So, and I can be pretty clear about which one of these 5 paths I want it to take. Once it's a full agent, it can do anything that the work item system that we use is capable. So it's less predictable, but more powerful. And I wonder which one of those two is more valuable to clients.
Yeah, interesting. Tom, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think the agent should be done first. But now that we've spent so much time and effort getting to where we are with multi-tenancy, it probably does make sense to finish that off and then just have that as an alternative, as Yuli sort of suggested, pipeline version that can be compared to the agent. Given you've already spent so much time on it.
For the record, I'm very interested in what a full agent is capable of. So if we did pause multi-tenancy to work on that, to see what that's like and work out whether it's a goer or not a goer, and then continue development, I'm not against it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I will say I thought all those comments were interesting. Especially Yuli's comments about validated learnings. But I know, as my experience with users, they try it and I want them to keep giving me feedback. And the only way is to get their feedback and make the change. And that's the whole reason we do Scrum. So that we build it for change. We build it to give it to them, make changes and get it into their hands. And that's why I would have done the agent before. But anyway, look, the fact that you say it's a completely different feeling of product, that's not what I'm expecting, but maybe that is the case.
I'm hoping it's not super different, but I'm aware that a full agent is like, I'm sitting there listening to like Mike or someone use it, and he uses it completely differently to how I use it. And then when it still produces the results that I want it to produce, I'm pretty happy that we've got a very designated pipeline of what can happen. But if I was just an AI agent listening to Michael, I would do very different things than what YakShaver is doing right now.
Right. Okay. All right. No worries.
I think the other benefit is if the agent doesn't work, we have a fallback that we can quickly deploy again.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Can I add something? I would focus on multi-tenancy because let's say if we get the multi-tenancy done, it's like we could sell Toyota potentially to 10 clients. But if we focus on the agent first, we build a Porsche, but we can't sell it to any clients. So multi-tenancy is the key to sell to the client.
Well, multi-tenancy is very important. We were just talking about whether the order of doing the workflow or the agent. And we're always that's all.
Yeah. Well, now that we've decided we want to do an agent, that's it's a big refactor, and it will slow things down. Like if we did that before we got it into the hands of clients, it means clients aren't getting it for X months later than they would have otherwise.
Callum just said that the original was that style, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's what I wanted to do with starting with the custom GPT. Back when we did the right. I don't know how we ended up going down the pipeline route, but somehow it happened when I went on pipeline.
I'm going to say Jack D and JK probably took that. They went in a certain direction, then Rick followed it.
I don't think Rick was there at the start.
No, he wasn't. No, but he would have picked it up from Jack D and JK. Yeah. By the way, Rick, as soon as you did that prototype, I would have definitely recorded it and made sure everybody saw it, including me. Because it sounds like you did that ages ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's still important. Get the recording done. It's all on the same page.
Okay.
Because we might be talking about a different agent. Everyone's got something different in their head now already.
Okay.
So we're not even in the same conversation.
Yep.
All right. Let's keep going. Let's move on.
Okay. So in terms of R&D, so I have investigated and implement the OpenTelemetry. And also I have researched on how to host Next.js app on the Azure App Service. And Stephen also looked into the API key authentication, research on how to add tenant ID into the claim. And in terms of Spring retrospective, what went well? So now we have OpenTelemetry. It's now much easier to navigate and search for logs. And Tom said the integration page makes it much easier to connect systems. Stephen said YakShaver will be on CTF this week. Yay. Yuli said multi-tenant got some good progress this spring. Portal up and live in prod. User table setup being used, and GitHub and Azure DevOps integrations done. Just adding in. We just need to add interface to add dates for.
Sorry, that's supposed to be data.
Data. Okay. Data for users and adding a project source. Tom said we have more people using the YakShaver within SSW. That's a good thing. And
sorry, just on that point, if you're going to say more people or faster, you must put the number. We now have 10 people using it more than once a week or something. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, you can fix that up before sending it.
Okay. Louis said we have issue fixed on staging. And Yuli feels like everyone explained their PBR well today in the review. And what went wrong? I feel like production environment is still unstable.
How can it be unstable if you had 100% uptime?
Unstable means the service is
occasional
out.
bugs.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Unstable means sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I wouldn't have the word environment there. Production still has bugs.
Okay. Okay. And Yuli said 2 of the 3 shaves in the sprint review failed. And Tom also said the DevOps integration test. We don't know yet.
Ready for chewing the fat if we're getting 2 out of 3 fails.
We don't know yet, but we do have PBI to investigate the cause.
That already sounds like it's not ready if I'm hearing things like that.
But it could be a simple fix on the production.
Yeah, I think what's just happened is we've just changed the source of user data. That's a fairly major change, and it's had, I think, a little bit of fallout. So we've got to fix that, which we'll do.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, there's no, in the next sprint, there's no new features at all. It's a feature freeze, just bugs.
Yep. Tom said the DevOps integration test had to be skipped. We need to find a way to obtain a valid access token when running the test inside CI/CD pipeline. What to improve?
Okay.
Yuli said we will focus purely on the bug fixing, testing, and stability in the next sprint and get ready for CTF.
Okay.
So,
I'll give you one other thing to improve.
Yep.
You ideally should have had a done video for this for the multi-tenancy where you're at, so that if you had sent that through to me a few days ago, I could have given you feedback on the experience and those little UI things. The other thing I would say, when you are going through the retro in this recording, I would just bold a couple of the important things. I don't need you to read them. Some of them you're not that familiar with as well, and you're reading them just because they're there. I would just bold a couple and just do a couple so it's snappier.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all for the retro. Let's jump into the planning. So the sprint goal for next sprint is just the bug fixing to ensure a smooth CTF. So here's a list of tasks. As you can see, emoji, we got a bunch of bugs, caterpillar in the front. So first, of course, it's a CTF preparation, and then we'll be doing some exploratory testing and bug discovery. And
a quick thing just to sync up with you, with the CTF, Stephen asked me if he needed a video. I said between Monday and Thursday, getting a video done is really unlikely, but also I actually want people to be able to use this as if they are actually just going through and doing, like, looking at the docs and looking at the sugar learning item and without any extra hand-holding. So I want those basic documents that the public will have access to be good enough to guide people without a video. And then once the whole thing's locked in exactly how it works, then we'd have a proper production grade video as opposed to a CTF grade video.
I'm sorry, Yuli, I don't subscribe to that. I don't think that we're going to say we're not making a video because we want to experiment how you're going to use it. That is an argument, by the way. I want people to have a nice experience, and I think we should have a very simple video so people have some excitement and then they try it out. So if they've got no clue at all.
Okay, what kind of video? I mean, is the homepage video okay, or do you need a video like CTF specific?
Well, are you talking about your video?
Yeah, the one on the homepage.
Yeah, you could use that. It's long. If you're very happy with that, we could do that. I was more thinking a very short one, like a short.
Yeah.
You know, a minute or so. And I was thinking you could get Eddie or Josh or Isaac to do that.
Yeah. What's in the what would the video be about? Would it be someone shaving a yak, or what are they doing?
Just the very similar to say what's on the Time Pro homepage. Very quick, the goal. You know, yours goes through the meat and potatoes. This
it's like the elevated pitch of
the elevated pitch very quickly. You can do this and you can do that, and boom, boom, and there it is. You actually go through the whole thing and talk about architecture and stuff.
Yeah.
Something that would get somebody like Jimmy or Penny or Stefan, you know, psyched up to use it.
So that's not going to happen between now and Thursday. Like that's a few.
So you know, I did
making a really good video like that would take a while.
Oh, I don't think so. It doesn't need anything. It's like there's many decent shorts that don't need anything. And by the way, I did ask them to do this 2 weeks ago. So I'm not sure why they haven't made any progress.
Right.
Yeah, because they were going to do the chewing the fat last week.
By the way, I recorded my cursor video on Tuesday before the Friday, so it's possible.
Yeah. So if you're happy with a video with the same level of quality as Callum's video, then it's possible.
Yeah,
but if you want something that's production ready for a homepage, then definitely not.
I'm just after a short. It doesn't need to be. It just needs to just have somebody half excited to G people up. It's a very cool thing. It should be able to explain it in 30 seconds or a minute. Under just the short length.
Okay, no worries. Stephen, you need a video. Good luck.
And Stephen, you can get one of the other guys to do it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're busy working on bugs, you should be working on bugs. Okay, cool.
All right.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, and then it's just any bug we could find in the backlog we put in. We did a bit of backlog refinement to work out which ones were already fixed or duplicates or not really a bug. These were the ones left over, so we'll go through, see if they're really a thing, fix them if they are. And there's a fair bit of time in there for exploratory testing and bug discovery to basically just hammer it and test it and see if it falls over and fix it if it does.
Right. Okay. Now, Stephen, if you're directing someone else to do a video, just be aware that in Sugar Learning, every employee as they join, they learn how to send a to myself email. It's called the Notepad task. We probably want to have another task just like that straight after that for every employee who does a to myself but does it using YakShaver.
Yeah, so we've already drafted a Sugar Learning item. It just hasn't gone live yet. So Lewis wrote it a while ago. So what we're planning is for the chewing the fat to go live on the Thursday night and the Sugar Learning item to go live at the same time. And the chewing fat basically says, do this Sugar Learning item, which then means that when we have a new starter, they will also go through the same process.
Beautiful. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Nice one.
All right. Cool. So for people who stay this far, this video will be uploaded to our YakShaver YouTube channel. So if you have any feature requests, please leave a comment and we will look at it. So thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, Rick. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Well, cool. All right, nice one.
Sorry it was so long. I feel very bad, but anyway,
That's all right.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. Yeah. No, we made good progress. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks all.
Okay.
See ya.
See you guys.
All right,
Bye.
thank you. See
Yeah,
ya.
thank you. See you.
Welcome back, Rick.
Welcome back.